Surprise, surprise, Jon Jones is getting in trouble again for being a horrible person. So Johnny Boy has been found guilty on 2 misdemeanors from earlier on this year when he was meant to be getting drug tested and this female officer was trying to drug test him and something's happened there. We don't exactly know what, but something's gone on and Jon Jones has got himself into some shit again. And to be honest, at this point, is it any surprise? You know what I mean? Is it a surprise in the slightest that this guy is a piece of shit? No. How many times now has this guy gotten into trouble? And I'm not even talking about anything to do with him testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs, anything like that. Let's leave that out of the conversation, even though you could go on a massive rant about that. Let's go on about just his criminal history, because this guy has been involved in a lot of bad things. So to start off Jon's criminal history, we go all the way back to 2012, when he crashed his Bentley into a post in New York City. And all this was because he was driving under the influence. Now, I know a lot of people might be like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. In my opinion, it is. You know, you could easily fucking kill someone just by being stupid enough to drink drive. So, straight from the get-go, he was being an utter knobhead. You then have the one what a lot of people are aware about when Jon Jones in 2015 was involved in a hit-and-run incident where he crashed into a pregnant lady's car and he fled the scene. And I think he actually went on Joe Rogan and talked about this, and he was more concerned at the fact that he had weed on him or something and didn't want to get caught with the weed. So he ran away. I think he came back, picked up the weed, and ran away again instead of checking on the person. I know he wouldn't have known the person was pregnant, but regardless, if you weren't a piece of shit, you'll go check on that person. You wouldn't fucking cower away and run away from the scene because you're scared you're going to get in trouble. You'll be a decent human being and check on the person you've just potentially fucking, killed, inflicted a lot of damage on. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be thinking about yourself in that situation. At least a normal person wouldn't, in my opinion. You then have it in 2020 when, just like in 2012, he was driving under the influence. This time he didn't crash, but instead he made things a bit more spicy and was shooting his pistol. I don't know what to say about this guy. He's clearly got an alcohol problem, and especially driving when he's been drinking as well. You then had it in late 2021 where Jon Jones had physically abused his wife, where the police had came to the scene and found blood on her clothing, on her nose and on her mouth. And I don't know what... This guy's just a horrible person. It's not news to anybody at this point. I'm just... What annoys me as well is that the UFC don't really... almost don't acknowledge it to an extent. Yes, I think we stripped him in the 2015 when he had the hit and run incident. Fair play. But they let him back. They don't care. And then after what's just gone on, they'll let him back. They don't care. You'll have Dana White doing what he's been doing recently where I don't see how Jon Jones isn't number 1 pound for pound, glazing him constantly. It's just... I get it's a business, but come on, man. How many fucking chances does this guy get? If this was any other UFC fighter who wasn't called Jon Jones, or say wasn't at the top of that chain, they would be released. The UFC would have no problem with releasing him. But because it's Jon Jones, he's a big name, he's a big star, he's arguably the GOAT of the sport. Nah, we're not going to do anything. It's an absolute joke. I think Daniel Cormier worded it best back in 2016 before their rematch was scheduled at UFC 200 when he was talking about Jon Jones.
What's your reaction to that?
It doesn't really matter.
He doesn't want to hear my reaction.
Please.
He doesn't want to hear my reaction because I will tell him some sobering truth.
Please.
Sobering truth is his history dictates and determines that the same thing is going to happen. That is his character. That is him at his core. I look at that young lady, the PR lady that's on his team now, and I see in her eyes, she knows she's fighting a losing battle. I look at his coaches. I see that these guys know that this kid will not change. He will not change. He's the same guy. He's rotten at his core, and he will continue to up.
And I won't lie, I always get reminded of this clip of DC every time Jon Jones fucks up, because he just proves DC right. Because Jon Jones is simply a fuck up, and he's going to keep fucking up, as it's been proven in the past and right now. What should the UFC do? Well, we should definitely strip him from the heavyweight title. Without this news breaking out and, him getting in trouble again, they should have really done that anyway. But now this has came out and this has happened. It just adds to it. You may as well just fucking strip him. Don't hold up the division any longer than it's already been held up for. Give us Aspinall and Blades for the actual heavyweight title. It makes the most sense to do so. But that's me done talking about Jon Jones. I'm sick of talking about this guy getting into trouble because it just happens so often at this point. But thank you for watching the video. Go away.